I'd like to tell you a story. It's about a little girl who was born in the year 1991. That girl was the last born in her family. That girl was loved. That girl was cherished. And that girl was me. My life is a miracle. One of my sisters once told me, Irma, your life is a miracle. Mother would always take you with her when she traveled from one city to another. So we were born in the southern province in Butare. And at that time, our mother traveled to Kigali. So my sister went on telling me how I was that precious baby and mother would always take me with her. And then she added something. The only time she left you home, she never came back. She was killed with 300 other families at Petite Sœur de Jésus in Kicukiro. I could have died with my mother. Indeed, my life is a miracle because I'm standing here. That was in 1994, in the month of April, during the genocide against the Tutsi. So I was only 3 years old. 3 years old is very young. So my brain does not remember anything from those days. All my earliest memories are of my life after the genocide. I am grateful that my first memories are happy. I woke up surrounded by my siblings. I woke up surrounded by love, my lovely adoptive parents who did an incredible job raising all of us. Growing up, my life was marked by a profound duality. On one hand, I was overwhelmingly grateful for the loving care that supported me, my lovely adoptive parents. These are the faces I've always known. But on the other hand, I was haunted by deep sadness, unanswered questions about the people I never really knew, but whose absence left a big hole in my heart. How do you deal with such mixed feelings? How can you talk about pain that others might not understand? How do you resolve your own conflict, your own pain, if you know that others have suffered more? How do you cry in a loving home when other children have no home at all? Those are the tough questions that filled my young mind. At the age of 7, I knew the truth about my biological parents. I knew that they were killed during the genocide. I knew that they were gone forever. I knew I was an orphan. But that truth was so heavy for me to bear. I hated that. I didn't like that identity. I didn't want to be called an orphan. And at a very young age, I decided nobody's going to know. I chose to go through life wearing a happy mask. That decision, as young as I was very serious about it. In fact, I was even choosing friends who had both parents. Because that truth was so heavy for me to bear. It made me feel different. I just didn't want that. So I took that pain and put it in a box, put it somewhere very far. I just kept on living. In the year 2012, I was 21 years old, and it was my first time to live far away from my family. And then I started revisiting the moments while I was growing up. All those moments, I would go lock myself up in the bathroom and cry. All those moments, I was asked a question about my family and cried. I started revisiting the moments. I started grieving. I remember hot tears. I remember really going through a grieving moment, and I didn't tell anyone. I didn't know that my healing journey has started. It was long, it was tough, it was painful, but I'm glad I did it because finally in the year 2019, I was able to open up, share my story without shame. This year marks 30 years of commemoration of the genocide against the Tutsi. I have been part of a project which involves telling stories, interviewing women, 30 stories who survived the genocide against the Tutsi. The experience has been profoundly moving because the majority of these women, it is their first time to tell their stories. Allow me to share with you 3 powerful lessons that I've been learning from them. The first lesson is healing requires us to actually acknowledge our pain. At some point in your life, you will have to sit down and acknowledge your pain. You cannot just keep living, escaping from that painful thing that happened to you. At some point in your life, you will have to choose to sit in darkness and actually ask yourself, how am I doing? What happened to me? How did it affect me? Many of us are dealing with that heavy burden of a traumatic past. It can be very heavy. Myself, I have quietly wished for so long, for so many years, to go back in time, to rewrite my past and experience the moments that I didn't get to have with my parents. The shadows of what might have been stayed with me for years. I was longing to see them, longing to see their faces, longing to hear their voices, longing to see their personalities. And if somebody will come to me and be like, you look like a mother, I felt like I want to hear more of that. I want to see her. Can you tell me, do you think I have her traits, her personality traits? All that pain is important. If you keep those traumatic memories to yourself, you keep the story to yourself, you become isolated, you don't progress in life, you are shameful, anything triggers you, but the moment you step up and you tell your story as it is, you are actually finding your voice. You are actually embracing your power. The third lesson that I've learned from these brave women is that healing is living. In the echoes of what we have lost, a glimmer of hope emerges. And that is, despite everything, we are here. We are here. Choosing to live, choosing to educate ourselves, choosing to raise the kids, choosing to be empowered. This is life. We look back, we acknowledge the painful past, but again, we choose life. We choose to see the future. We choose to look ahead. These women, a woman will come to me and tell me, I have been raped, I have HIV/AIDS, I have cancer, but I wake up every day and I'm grateful for life. That is choosing to live. That is healing. Our country, Rwanda, it is a country that has been deeply, deeply wounded, affected by the scars of the genocide. And if we want to really heal as a nation, we need to understand this concept of trauma. It's not just about the visible aftermath. The concept of trauma, first of all, let's understand, what does it mean? What is trauma? It is derived with a Greek word that means wound. So trauma is the wound. A wound bleeds. A wound can really be ugly. So if we are a country that is dealing with traumas, we need to understand, what are we dealing exactly with? And you know, there is a spectrum of trauma. We have the big T traumas and we have the small T traumas. What are the big T traumas? Actually, when we talk about the big T traumas, we mean what is huge, what is obvious. The genocide, the physical abuse, the emotional abuse, all the traumatic physical circumstances that could happen to humans. But when we talk about the small T traumas, we have a tendency to ignore them, yet they are equally significant. The small T traumas happens to us when the basic emotional needs are not met. So when you want to explain the small T traumas, you don't necessarily say that this is what happened to me. You say that this is what was supposed to happen to me, but that didn't happen to me. For example, myself, I was 3 years old during the genocide, but I was still breastfeeding. I mean, yeah, I'm healthy. I was breastfeeding until 3 years old. So try to imagine a baby breastfeeding and brutally detached from the breast of her mother. What kind of trauma did I go through? Of course, I had to feel the feeling of abandonment. As a baby, you feel abandoned. And I remember so well growing up, feeling those feelings. I feel abandoned. I feel rejected. I'm all the time scared. Those fears, what's the root cause? I would like to encourage you to look inward yourself and ask really yourself that question. What are some basic emotional needs that were never met in my life? Probably those are the small T traumas you need to heal. And the thing about having a wounded soul is that you think you are going through life. You think you can ignore it. But in reality, it's affecting every area of your life. It is affecting your mind, your thoughts, and how you make decisions. So it is crucial for us to heal. And this healing journey, I am encouraging each and everyone to embark on. It is not just for us. It is for the generations that will come after us. Try to imagine a whole nation that is healed. Try to imagine a whole nation that is healthy, that is creating healthy spaces for people to share and to open up. That is going to be beautiful. As I conclude today, I would like to leave you with a point of reflection that has echoed in my own healing journey. Have you truly healed? Or you are simply avoiding any form of trigger? That is the question. Thank you very much.